if we're getting any specific requests coming through our help desk that we want everyone to kind of know about, and just kind of give you full range on certain things that you have ability to do on your sites. Um, Couple of things we're going to be covering today. We want to talk a little bit about um, dealer specials. We have a widget you can place on your pages, and then a content area on the back end of your site that you can enter in specials pertaining to equipment rentals and specifically parts and service. Having those specials on your site kind of bring back return customers to service equipment that you maybe sell to them. So we want you to have some info about that. And then each webinar, we're kind of highlighting a special widget. Last time we talked about dealer announcement banners. This time we're going to show you how to add YouTube videos to your pages. And then the last thing we're going to go over is user forms. They're kind of incorporated everywhere within your site, and we just want to make sure you know how to set up notifications on those forms, just how to place them on pages if you want them in certain areas. And then talk about like some spam filters and multiple location things and such. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the special features. These are a way that you can enter content on the back end, place a widget on a page of your choice, typically the home page, and then it'll just highlight certain parts and service specials that you're maybe running at your dealership. So we're going to kind of go over how to get that set up for you. Oh, thanks, Colleen, for starting the recording. Appreciate that. And then at the end of this, I'm going to go ahead and include some resources. We're going to kind of cover a lot in this call. And then we have a lot of online sources through our Zendesk. So if you need a refresher on how to do any of this stuff, we have all the documentation for that. So this is kind of what a dealer special widget will look like once it's placed on your page. But we'll go ahead and go over how to do so. I'm going to get just kind of logged into a training backend here. So if you haven't been on the back end of your site yet, reach out to us. We could definitely get you a login, but this is kind of what the back end looks like. And to go ahead and enter any sort of special content, you're going to be using this content tab up here in the top dash. And you're going to scroll all the way down to your dealer specific area and click on dealer specials. And then just for examples, I've already kind of placed a couple of specials in here already. But if you want to create a new special, you're just going to click this big green button. And then once you do so, it's going to pull up a page similar to this. And I've already kind of just entered in a little demo here. You want to classify what type of special it is. So you have options of parts, service, equipment, or rentals. Making sure to put this in the correct category, make sure that it filters out on your website properly. So you want to make sure that that's where you want it to live. So for here, this is a service special, just kind of typed up a little title if you want to add a tagline. And then you can go ahead and enter any details of the description of the special you're running. If there's any special disclaimers, you can enter it here. If you want it featured on your homepage, which you're probably going to want that, you want to make sure that this box is checked, and then you could add images. So just as much detailed information as you can. You'll just add each special in this format through this page. And when you're done, you're going to click publish. So once you enter in all the specials you like, they'll kind of stay in order here. If you ever want to unpublish them, you basically just click more and you can unpublish. So if you're not running that special anymore. Additionally, you can go ahead and do specific times for your specials. So if you don't want to be constantly monitoring while the special is live on your site, you can enter in special publish and unpublished dates through this little feature here as well. So then once you have all the specials that you want presented on your page, you're going to go to this tab up here, Pages. And just for example, I'm going to place the widget on the home page, but you can place it on any page that you want. But homepage is, where your visitors first see. So we're going to go ahead and demonstrate that. Give things a second to kind of populate. So this is kind of what the back end of your page creation looks like. So you have the display of all of the widgets that are on here, and then you have a list of all of your content widgets. I know it's overwhelming. There's kind of tons of things that you can pull and place on your site, but we're going to go ahead and scroll down a little bit here to dealer. And then we're going to drag and drop this dealer specials widget. You can kind of drag and drop anywhere you'd like. I'm just going to plop it right here. And when it first populates, this is kind of like the generic layout, but to make it a little more user-friendly and just more visually appealing on the eye, I'm going to go ahead and click Edit here. Once you're in here, you're going to have this first tab, the Content tab, is going to specify where you're pulling the information from. So right now it's selected all published dealer specials. If you only want certain specials to be displayed, you could click this one here. And when you click select, it'll show all of the specials that you have. And then you can just check which ones you want to be displayed. But since we want all of them displayed, I'm going to just go ahead and close out of that. And then the next setting, this list settings here, just shows how they display on the web page, where it's just kind of listed text, doesn't look too pretty, I guess. But we're going to go ahead and change this list template. And I'm going to go ahead and set it as showcase. Other options kind of down in this area here, if you only want equipment specials to be showing, you can select just that, just parts, just rentals, service, etc. But we want to kind of display all the specials that we're featuring. So we're going to go ahead and click showcase and then save. And they didn't pop up.
We'll go back to the settings really quick.
Did I not? I didn't select, change it back over, did I? There we go. That's what I want. That's the one we want. There we go. So then once it's populated here, this kind of gives you a little demo of what it's going to look like. And then before you publish a page, you can always do a preview. So up here in the left-hand corner, we can click preview, and it'll take you to the home page of what it's going to look like. So here it'll just do kind of little snippets of each special. And then when you click into more details, it'll pull up another page with more details of that special that you included. And then, for example, I think this is another one. Yeah. And then, as I mentioned earlier, when you're creating that content, you want to select the drop down of if it's a special, part, equipment, etc. What that does when you select that special drop down is it'll also populate in your service, parts, or equipment special section. So as you can see under service, when I click service specials, the specific service special that we created auto populates here, as well as under parts, populates here, under equipment specials, here, and so on and so forth. So if you have a rentals page as well, it'll populate there, so on and so forth. Any questions about adding in specials to your pages?
Quick question. Are the specials able to be scheduled out?
Yeah, so I think here, I'll kind of show you how to do that again. I just briefly went over it. So when you go into this specific special, let's see, we'll go ahead and show this one for example. So when you click publish, it's automatically on the site. But if you want to change the time, under more actions, you can do this publish, unpublish on specific date. And then when you click into the date, you can do a start time. So like, let's say we want it to start today. And then you can do an unpublished time as well. And then you can automatically have it, like, let's say unpublish next week. And then, so once you save it, it'll have like a timer on it. And then, so this will disappear on the set date.
Is there a way to save those? We've had the same part specials for years. It'd be awesome to be able to go ahead and just do all 12 months of part specials, but have it saved or where it can maybe auto populate the following year. if that makes
Yes,
sense.
you can set the schedule like years in advance. So I don't think you have a way to like start end like on the same post, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So I don't think we can do like on a yearly thing, like have multiple published and unpublished dates on the same post, but that's how you would do it at least in like a certain window of time.
Yeah.
Is that
It
kind
would
of
be, it would be doable.
yeah, definitely. Um, so yeah, that's how those work. And then
But when the post ends, does it remain there or does it?
yeah, so the content will stay in the back end. And then so it'll still, let me go ahead and show you again.
So like in January, I could basically go and just change the dates for the upcoming year with all those
Ex-
posts and it's good to go.
Exactly. Yeah. So once, like, let's say we started it today and then ended it next week, it'll pop up as I'll kind of demonstrate. Once that publish time is over, it'll show up like this on your back end. And then when you're ready to bring it back onto your page, you would just click back into it and then set new publish dates. So all of the information will stay on the back end for like your records. And then you can go back in and republish it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So as long as you can also like delete all of your listings. But if you want to keep the content in there, if you're going to be bringing it back every few months or so, just go ahead and it'll just unpublish so you don't have to re-enter all the information. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is adding YouTube videos to pages. We get a lot of requests for this. Just a way to highlight some sort of like dealer specific video that you guys have created, or if you're trying to pull something from like Kubota USA, we just want to show you how to place YouTube videos on your page. So there's kind of two steps. There's a step on YouTube itself, and then a step on your pages in the back end. Sometimes codes can seem a little overwhelming, especially if you don't know how to read them properly. I still don't know how to read a lot of code, so that's totally fine. But there's just a couple of steps both on YouTube and then on the back end to place videos. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate that for you. So for example, this is just a Kubota ad that we have applications. Don't need to have those playing. Ads. So when you get to YouTube, whether it be a YouTube video that you uploaded yourself or if it's something that you just pulled from YouTube, everyone kind of knows what YouTube looks like on the back end, but you're going to kind of focus on this bottom bar down here. It says dislike, share, download, etc. When you click this share button, this little window is going to pop up and it's going to have like multiple ways that you can upload to different platforms. But we want to go ahead and click this embed link. And then right here, this is the code that you want. So you can either like select it all yourself and copy it that way, or if you just click this button down here, it'll automatically copy the code to your clipboard. We're gonna go ahead and click that. And now it's saved on my clipboard. And then to place it on a page, again, you can place this code on any page you'd like, but I'm just gonna go ahead and demonstrate on the home page. And then back to our list of widgets that we have, we're going to scroll down to scripts and styles. And when we open that up, you'll see this embedded code widget. Drag and drop that where you want it to be placed. Click in to edit it. And then we paste that entire code that we got from YouTube. What I like to do just to kind of keep things organized in the back end and so you know like what codes are placed, I like to give it a name. So if you click more options, you can just write like YouTube video. Just so you know what the code is, and when you save it, it'll just kind of have that little note for yourself. And then again, when we click preview, make sure it looks good and is working okay. You'll see the video populate here, and then you can play it directly on your web page. That's how YouTube videos work. Any questions about placing codes? And again, we have our Zendesk platform that has a lot of instructional videos and like help docs. And there's one for you placing YouTube videos. So we'll have all those resources for you at the end of the call as well. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is user forms. You've probably already seen these automatically on a lot of the pages on your sites. We have forms for contacts. We have forms for requesting quotes or trade values, service and parts requests. When we started with building out your sites, you probably sent in the information that you want included in those forms. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about like editing forms, how to change notification alerts. So like, let's say you had a parts technician and they don't work for the company anymore and you need to put in a new email for notifications. We're going to show you how to do that. We're also going to kind of talk about spam filters. It's sometimes inevitable that spam will come through forms. We do have a couple of settings set up to kind of limit those types of spam coming through. We're going to talk about viewing form responses. This is really helpful for, like, let's say, employment applications to kind of show like resume information and all of that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about if you have multiple locations, there's a little bit different setup for that that we actually have to do on the back end to get set up for you. This way, like if you have multiple locations and notifications for forms going to different people. And then we're going to kind of just show you that widget as well to place on the form or to place the form on pages. So to get to the form section on the back end, it's going to be under that content tab at the top again. We're going to kind of focus on this upper area here. So forms is listed right here. And then you'll see the types of forms that you have published currently. So these are all of, I think it's kind of standard on every site. These are all the forms that you have. And then for each of these, you'll see all of the responses here. This is a demo site, so we don't have a ton of responses. But I'll go ahead and click into one so you can at least look at the format of one. So employment application, for example. This is kind of like a standard form that we have created for employment. One thing about forms, while you have access to make edits on these forms, we ask that you don't delete any of these widgets. If you were to go in and delete, like, let's say this telephone box widget, it kind of like, it deletes all the data that you have for those forms that have been created. So if you want to add in things, if you just want like more details coming in from your visitors, you're free to drag and drop more fields here, but we ask that you just don't delete anything that's already on there or else you'll lose all the data that was submitted that way. And then over on the right-hand side, you'll see this settings drop down. When you click this and you look down to where it says notification emails, anytime that a form is submitted, so an employment application form is submitted on the site, a notification email will go to whatever email is listed here. Colleen, it looks like our training site is going to you. But if you have multiple people that you want notifications go to, you can list as many emails as you'd like. But this is how you make those edits. So like I mentioned earlier, if you have like a new employee who's coming on, who's going to be covering, you know, parts or service requests, you want to add in those additional emails here so that you're just up to date with forms as they come in. And then again, like usual, if you make any changes, always click the green publish button so those settings save. Additionally, while those notification emails can get sent out to the correct emails, you can also just view the responses for any form that comes through on the back end. So when you look over here, you'll see like a couple of responses on a few things. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and click into this employment one. And then it would be just a list of all of the forms that were ever submitted underneath this form. So if you kind of click on it, if you want to look at this one specifically, it'll populate a little response over here. For employment applications specifically, if someone included a resume, you'll be able to download the form that the resume that they uploaded here. So you can download those for your records as well. And like I mentioned earlier, if you have multiple locations where you want notification emails to go to potentially different people at each location, we have to do a little bit of extra setup on the back end. So that's something that you would want to reach out to the help desk about. Additionally, how I talked about kind of spam earlier, it's just kind of inevitable. Sometimes spam comes through on these forms. We do have a couple of like back-end settings that try and limit that as much as possible, but we also recently set up a way to like block emails. So if you're seeing spam come through multiple emails, we can set up an additional filter on the back end. So this isn't going to be on every site, but if you're noticing specific spam come through, we can upload something on the back end. It'll live under this marketing tab. It'll be this like block emails tab here. And then you can enter in emails if you're seeing like repeats coming through that you just don't want to be cluttering your back end. And you can add lists of blocked emails. So that's something like kind of new that we added when you were seeing some spam come through some folders. And that's kind of it for this dealer webinar. But if you have any questions kind of pertaining to any of this, so please share on how to edit the form. If you added a widget but no longer need to use the widget. Yeah, I can go ahead and cover that. Yep, Diane, I can show you that as well. We'll go ahead and go back in. So when you go into your back end, this is your home dashboard. You click content, and you click into forms here. And I'll demonstrate, Diana, on the employment specifically. So when you click into the form itself, over here on the right-hand side, you'll see the settings tab. Go ahead and click into that. And then down at the very bottom, this is the notification email section. So whatever emails are listed here, and you can add as many as you'd like, notification emails will be sent to that email address when the form is filled out. And then Stacy, yep, of course, Diana. And then let's see, I just want to make sure I get this covered. Please share on how to edit the form. If you added it but no longer. So all of these widgets are already going to be kind of standard on each page. So we ask that you don't delete anything that's already on the page, but if you want to add in additional content, so as I said, we like originally you're here, you go to settings for notification emails, but if you go back to content, you can drag and drop additional content blocks from over here. So if you have like a checkbox that you want people to kind of do details on, or an additional text box. Let's see, I'll kind of demonstrate. Let's see, like a checkbox. And you can just drag and drop it kind of anywhere you see fit. And then you can edit the checkbox however you'd like. So you can add the question, all of the choices, etc. And that's how you would add in additional widgets. Does that kind of help answer your question? Oh, to remove it, you just go move and delete. So as long as there's no, since it's like a new widget, like if you don't want that content in there anymore and you haven't like published anything, you can just go ahead and remove it just as easy. So edit to put in the information that you want it to present, and then more and delete if you don't want that widget incorporated anymore. And then Dale, to answer your question, you can do email specific. I don't think you can block domains as a whole. But yeah, for the For the spam filters, let me go ahead and go back to that. And like I said, you won't see if you're noticing spam come through as an issue. This feature isn't set up on every site, but we can get it added pretty easily for you. But once we get it set up, it'll be under the marketing tab and under block emails. And then you'll be able to enter any specific emails that come through that are spam on your site. Does that help answer that question for you, Dale?
The reason I ask is because we have a lot of spam that comes through on our regular, and basically what they'll do is they'll change one letter, one character in the email, but the domain is the same. And so I basically blacklist that domain, and that takes care of that issue.
I'm gonna have to look into that to see if that's something we can do. I'm not familiar if we can right now, but I can reach out to some people that might have some more answers, and I could follow up via email with you about it. What's your website?
Central Equipment.
Central Equipment.
No, our website through you guys is KubotaDealership.com.
Ah, okay.
Our TracTru site.
Okay. I'll go ahead.
What is it? What is it, Jason? Kubota Dealership?
KubotaDealership.com.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and make a note of that, and I can follow up with you via email when I get a little bit more information after this.
Melissa, we also need to change our logo on that site too.
Okay. Do you have the image and everything?
I do. Just whatever image you got, it's just kind of blurry. So I have a higher quality logo that we can use.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and follow up with you via email after this. What's your email?
JasonH@centralequipment.com.
Jason HS. Cool. We'll go ahead and follow up and get that logo updated for you. Easy.
Thank you.
And then the last thing I just kind of wanted to go over just a couple additional resources. First, we offer one-on-one dealer trainings with our support team in dealerships, whether it be you're a new dealer and just kind of want a brief overview, or if there's something specific that you kind of want to talk about more in detail, we do offer one-on-one trainings we have a Calendly link. We also have, like I mentioned earlier, our Zendesk guide. It's kind of like just a search engine of a lot of helpful documents, video tutorials, et cetera, et cetera. We have our Zendesk help center specifically. And then we also just included a new help button on the back end of your site on all dealer sites. So on the back end here, when you first log in, you're going to see this help button down here. And if you have any questions, anything you're trying to figure out, when you fill out this form, it'll go directly to our help desk and it'll be able to respond to you that way. So if you're kind of in the middle of doing stuff on the back end and you don't want to send in an email to us or go to a different platform, you can actually send in requests directly through the back end now. And then I think, and then Colleen kind of reiterated about hiding widgets. I'll go ahead and show that to you again back on the forms. We're going to backtrack just a little bit. So back under forms, I think, Stacy, this will answer your question a little bit further. When you go ahead and click into the forms, if you don't want a specific widget to be shown, you click into here, you can hide the field. So if you just select that, and then it won't populate on the form anymore, while still having the widget there so it doesn't delete the data. Thanks, Colleen. Any other questions? Besides, that'll kind of wrap up things for this month's webinar. And then we're going to be kind of doing these once a month, probably towards the end of each month. We kind of gather information based on specific requests we see coming in. If we have any